2 weeks ago, you told us to report any BLM in our schools. Apparently, you know they're in our schools because you made the signs. I said there should be no BLM in schools, period. It is a political message about getting rid of police officers, rioting, burning buildings down. Changing the font or the color of posters does not change the meaning. I am 9 years old and I know that.
That was 9-year-old Nova Lee, a student of the Lakeview Area School District in the Minneapolis suburb, slamming the school board for violating their policy barring politics on campus by allowing teachers to put up BLM posters. One school employee came up to speak shortly after Nova Lee and confronted her.
Black Lives Matter. 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 Oh, do you disagree?
Please, please be respectful of all the speakers.
Really? You disagree with me?
Joining me now, Kristal Knight, political and social impact strategist, and also Hugo Gurdon, editor-in-chief for the Washington Examiner. Kristal, let's start with you. That last parent there seemed to be addressing the 9-year-old as if she thought maybe she got a little help with the speech.
Absolutely. It didn't sound like her speech was self-written. And even some of the language that she used in her speech, calling it a political act, calling it, saying that the principal or the school stated that it wouldn't be up and now that it is and that the school needs to take it down. That's not the typical language of a 9-year-old. And so what one has to imagine and believe is that she absolutely had help with this. But the bigger issue here is if a school teacher decides that she or he wants to have it up in his or her classroom, that's at their discretion. We cannot allow children to dictate what school systems do. And so I would hope that the school system will respond accordingly.
Well, Hugo, I'm not still clear. We couldn't quite get the answers to whether the sign was ultimately taken down or whether it wasn't supposed to be up in the first place. But is this why schools ban political messages to begin with?
Yes, it is. And in fact, the school board at that school had a policy of no political messages, which is why the young girl, obviously helped by her parents in the writing of that statement, called them out for their, mendaciousness and hypocrisy. There absolutely should not be. I mean, it's not up, as the other speaker has just said, it's not up to teachers to decide whether they can put political advocacy up in their classrooms because the school board has said it shouldn't be there. The interesting thing here is, and I think this is very important when thinking about this little girl and having her parents help, is that there is a nationwide eruption of parental anger over the introduction of this pernicious ideology of critical race theory into the schools. There is an effort by the left, and obviously the educational establishment is entirely captured by the left, to indoctrinate children. And it goes to very young children right up through high school.
Well, let's get more on that because last night we had Ty Smith on the broadcast. He's opposed to the teaching of critical race theory, and he addressed a school board in Illinois. You may have seen this video. It went viral. We're going to show a clip from last night's broadcast, and we'll talk after this.
No, you don't need to be teaching it at all because it's going to do harm. And so what I'm there to do is they say, no, if you introduce this type of ideology into the schools, you are going to be harming the children. So I'm trying to prevent that from happening. I don't care if it's happening or not right now. They're just thinking about it. No, you shouldn't be thinking about it. It should not be in the schools.
Hugo, we'll give you the first crack at this. Why are Republicans so upset about this?
Well, because it's destroying education. The whole point of critical race theory, and the people who came up with critical race theory admitted this and boast about this, is to undermine the liberal education and the rational, fact-based education and the, that was introduced in the Enlightenment. That's what it's for. It's a revolutionary idea to replace those things with sort of passionate advocacy and left-wing thinking. So, I mean, the people who are upset about it because they want their children properly educated, not indoctrinated.
Kristal, can you define it for us? Enlighten us, because I'm still trying to figure out what it is.
Sure. So the thing that I think gets lost in this entire debate is critical race theory is just that. It's a theory. It's an academic term that's being used in the legal field to define how racism really undergirds all of the systems of this country, how racism exists in our structures, and how racism was really one of the bedrock foundations when our founding fathers created the Constitution. And so if school districts don't want to talk about race, they should just say, we don't want to talk about race. Instead of trying to single out critical race theory, which is not taught through in K through 12 education. It's also not an academic course. It's literally an academic theory that's taught at the collegiate level, and particularly really at the graduate level. So not even in undergraduate studies. And so what I consider this to be is just a tool of the Republicans to distract voters on matters that really are critical, like getting children vaccinated and getting more, schools reopened so that we can get back to, the business of education and not talking about something that is totally irrelevant in the academic sphere.
Kristal Knight, political and social impact strategist, and Hugo Gurdon, editor-in-chief for the Washington Examiner. Great to have both your voices tonight. Thank you.